My name is Anne-Marie Rudd, and this is my video submission for class EDSE670. This is the last lesson of a 4-part unit based off the book Leaf Ban by Lois Ellert. Within this lesson, which is geared for second graders with modifications fit for an autistic student, we'll have students go outside on a leaf hunt to gather about 10 leaves, then come inside and sort and categorize their leaves on their own graph. Here are the charts that will be hung up and reviewed during the lesson. The first chart is the Common Core State Standards, which has standards fit for second graders based on science and math. The Common Core State Standard chart will be hung up for the whole lesson, so if a supervisor or director or anyone comes in, they know exactly what we're working on during this lesson. The second chart that we have here are the class goals. These class goals are aligned with the state standards but are fit for the second graders to read and understand what we are working on for our lesson. For example, the first one says, sort and place leaves into 3 groups. Next to it, I have a box to see at the end of the lesson if we met our goal, which is also our state standard, to draw a picture graph to represent data with up to 4 categories. In order to build up anticipation for our lesson, I would have a class poll that the students could answer on their way to the carpet. For this lesson, the class poll would be, do we see more red, yellow, orange, or brown leaves outside? The students would be able to answer by writing their initials, and then we would go over it as a class and count how many think we see red, orange, yellow, or brown leaves. This type of chart also resembles the chart that they will be using on their own later in the lesson. Below our class poll, we have our leaf vocabulary. It's very important that you introduce the vocabulary at the beginning of the lesson so students can learn new words and use it in the right context during group or independent work. For example, I have the word vein, which is the lines throughout the leaf. This would be crucial for the students to learn before they go on their leaf hunt because then, after they find different leaves, they can compare and contrast the veins on different leaves and even use this on their graph as a different category. The next part of the lesson would be to go outside on about a 6 to 10 minute leaf hunt. The students would be instructed to grab a plastic bag and to fill in with different leaves that could be different colors, different shapes, different sizes. Afterwards, the class would come in and we would sit on the carpet and I would model for them what we would be doing during independent work. I chose to do a leaf hunt because I have access to a door that leads right outside to our backyard of our school. Not many schools have this option, but I decided to use this in my lesson because it involves nature and the students getting out on their own and taking what they see outside and bringing it inside the classroom. I also think it's very important for students to learn about nature as a first-hand experience. A short leaf hunt can lead to many mini lessons on acorns, bugs, animals, or anything else that they see outside. After the leaf hunt, the students would come in and I would model for them how we would fill out our graph. I would have 3 different leaves picked out where the students can notice that their sizes are different. So I have a large leaf, I have a medium leaf, and I have a small leaf. I would write in the titles onto our chart and then also draw the leaves to the best of your ability. The students would see that we would have 3 different columns with 3 different categories, which are all based on one main category of size. We would write size here, draw what leaves we see in each category, and then count how many are in each category. To further help the students during their independent work, we can also create a class category list. We can add shape, size, texture, color, and this still gives the opportunity for students to create their own chart, but some helpful hints on how to do so. The students do not need to use this list, but can use it as reference on how they can start their own. Then the students would move on to their independent work. For the independent work, they would need crayons, pencils, and then of course their charts. I would have the charts pre-made because it would make the lesson go faster, but you could also direct the students on how to make a chart by folding to make columns and then using the lines to write in the different categories. It would also be great to have magnifying glasses available so students could really get into the science aspect of observing their leaves. It's also very fun for the students to use magnifying glasses because it's a new tool and a new material that they don't normally use. Next, the students would of course need their leaves that they collected outside. I thought it would be helpful to add in bowls that would be a visual aid for the students to use to sort their groups. Also, I laminated a few of the leaves because sometimes the leaves don't even last for the lesson because they start to crumble. So laminating the leaves preserves them flat, and you can still see, you can still touch, you can still use the magnifying glass, and then this would last all year round that the students can use on their free time. Since it's very hard for an autistic child to hold a pencil or use crayons on a worksheet, I decided to incorporate a tablet in my lesson for the child to use. I found a great app that would let the child draw the leaves according to the colors that they found outside. Then the student would be able to save and print to use on their own chart. This would help the student stay involved and still complete the lesson according to the standards. At the end of the lesson, I would have the students come back to the carpet. For those who are finished, they would be able to have the opportunity to share their chart with the rest of the class. They would be able to share their titles, their leaves, different categories, and any observations that they were able to make while doing this activity. We would also go through our classroom goals and see if we were able to meet all of them. If we do, we would put a check mark right on the box to signify that we have completed this lesson. I want to keep this lesson open to promote more student-directed learning. There is a lot of teacher modeling in this lesson, but the independent work could lead to more observations, more mini lessons, and even peer-to-peer teaching. If need be, this lesson could also be split into 2 days or modified for different ages and different disabilities. I hope you enjoyed.